for this week's webinar collab hosted by Visas.ai, the intelligent immigration platform. Today, we're going to be discussing a lot of immigration stuff and getting straight to the point. We're not going to talk a lot around it. We're just going to get right to the juicy parts, John. John, you are an immigration attorney, and so I am not. So I'll be asking you some questions,
Sure.
and of course, it's a reminder for everyone watching that this isn't legal advice. This is just us speaking about certain strategies. But if you do want John's strategies, you can book a one-on-one strategy session with him. So this is a great introduction into the last piece that we're going to discuss today on the P visa. And with that, I'll give it over to you if you'd like to share your screen and do a quick introduction of yourself, please.
Thanks, Pierre. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to jump right into the kind of the end product of our platform, and that's how we build the documents necessary to win a case. And really, the impetus of this is that most immigration software platforms were just forms packages. What I mean by that is every immigration case has a form that you send to the government, but you can lose a case in the forms, but you can't win a case in the forms. What we do is brief, and that's different than most other law firms. So what we did in developing our platform for other attorneys was show them how to brief, right? And a brief is different than what most lawyers do, which is a cover letter. Now, immigration kind of wants a cover letter because it doesn't hold them to any standards. It just says, here's a table of contents of what we're going to do. Please adjudicate it. Well, that's sort of a lawyer not being a lawyer, right? And our job is to tell them how evidence meets the law and then apply that to the law and use case law and other authority. And authority comes in the levels of the regulations and what their plain language is, the policy, which is what immigration thinks the regulations mean, and then adjudications, right? So those adjudications can be non-precedent setting AAO decisions. That's the agency appellate committee that goes over and makes determinations. They usually back USCIS, but sometimes they don't. So it's helpful if you can find language where USCIS overstepped and then their appellate branch said that they overstepped. And the other is federal case law. And federal case law is always binding at the Supreme Court level, maybe binding at the circuit court level if your place that you're adjudicating this is the same circuit. Sometimes can be binding at the district court level, especially if there's a settlement to accept it, which has happened in a couple of immigration cases. But it's somebody in a black robe made a decision on how to adjudicate this, and we call that instructive, right? It's instructive of them to see that. And again, a lot of the immigration adjudicators are not lawyers. They don't argue like lawyers. They argue like people, and people say, "Oh, I don't think it means this" or whatever. Well, it's okay that they don't think it means that, but if somebody has made a determination like a judge or the regulation specifically says it's okay, or their own policies tell them to consider this and that, when they're acting outside of that, then you're bringing them back into why your case should be proved. So what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to share my screen.
Excellent.
I don't know what I'm sharing here. Hold on.
I think it's really good how you're giving the actual breakdown. This is obviously helpful for new attorneys that are watching this, and it's helpful for a lot of the applicants that feel blind in the process.
Right.
And that's really why an attorney is needed, right, John? A lot of people advocate, oh, I can file on my own. Yeah, you can technically file any government documents on your own, including all your taxes, but it doesn't mean that building it on your own and submitting it on your own is the best result. It's not going to yield the best result, especially with all these increasing fees. I mean, right now, the processing fee for a case, even if you, let's say, premium processing, you're spending thousands of dollars at
Yeah.
a chance. You'd want that chance to go and be a very good one.
Well, and we find immigration fights with us all the time, and I've done this for 31 years, right? And so, we have knowledge, we also have experience of what they like and what they don't like, and immigration will push back. They can also approve a case and then revoke it later if they think that you didn't tell them the truth or whatever. So, let me show you a little bit of what we do. So we have a brief that we'll do here for this this player, pro athlete, remember, which is what we were going through in our other one. So we're going to do this one as an agent-based petition, Liberty Law Firm, as agent for the P1 visa on behalf of pro athlete. That's the name of them. And you can see we filled out all these things. They're an Australian. And we picked which gender. So it says Mr. Athlete and go through these things. And so in this brief, we're laying it out. So we see here that it doesn't have an ending date. So let's have an ending date. Well, we want to do this for 3 years. So we're going to file this let's file it as of September 1st. We're on September 6th right now. But so it's going to end on 8/31. Oops. I'm messing this up. 8. Oh, it doesn't want that. Okay, so let's. Oh, I'm sorry. 08/31/2027. Okay, so that's going to make it 3 years term, and for that, and then we can see the sponsor. We got Ford Motor Company, and we want their term of employment to be September. Like this, 09/01/2024 through 08/31/2027. We'll make the fees, so you can actually build your whole case while you're doing it. So does he have a sponsor? What's the sponsor paying him? Let's say that Ford Motor Credit is going to, or Ford Motor Company is going to pay this guy $50,000 a year as that. And then what I'm really kind of doing right here is I'm building out a contract, if you can see it. And then employer 2, let's say there's not an employer 2, so I'm going to leave that out, not employer 3. And we in our strategy session is dropping things over, like who's the governing body official and things like that. So I'm not going to have these sponsors. I'm going to leave this in red, and I'm going to edit that out. And then we're going to go through here, an expert, what they're going to write, and all these sort of things. We'd put that in our strategy session already. Unless we didn't have some evidence, we can add it. Now, the really cool thing about this, when I'm adding this here, it's also adding it in the strategy session. You don't have to go back and change it there. A lot of the other forms packages, again, this is a brief. So the forms packages, if you changed it in the form, it didn't change it in the software. So ours does. But I'm making this stuff up. Athlete wins Monster Jam. Is it by Don Duck? Monster Jam. Monster Mag. June 6th, 2023. Okay. So there's no prior season. So these are all the things we went through before, but this is all going into the expert letters. And you can write, this is expert 1's opinion, and this is going to drop into the expert letter, and I'll show you that. And what we try to do is write the brief first. What would an expert say? Find out what an expert would say. Write your expert letter to support your brief, right? So we're doing that. We've got the international ranking. He's ranked 12th monster truck. Let's call it international rankings, because that's how it is. Okay, we'll go through. All right, so now we've edited it. We're going to build it.
And John, what do you mean by build it?
Well, I took all that stuff that we put into the digital questionnaire, and then now I'm building a document. So
the platform has the feature to put everything together for you and just make it into its own thing, or do you have to manually do that part?
It does do that, but that's not what I just did here. So what I did is I took out, can you see this? I'm going to make this bigger. I took all those. So we took the strategy questions that we did originally. I went and edited it into the brief digital format. And now I've just built a brief in a Word document. Okay.
Mm.
And if you see down here that this is 13 pages long, it's 5,000 words. And I just did that in front of you in about 5 minutes, right? So I did my strategy question. I went in and added it and edited it. And here's what it says, right? So you can see here, there's some things I might want to clean up. That there's a question there, or there was a space there I wanted to change. There's a space here I want to change. So it's a Word doc, right? So now I've written it, but it dropped those things in. You can see it here that, we're going to do big agency as the agent, but I don't think big agency is a DBA of Liberty Law Firm. So we're just going to have big agency as agent on behalf of Mr. Athlete, a citizen and national of Australia. And he's an attending P1 applicant to enter the United States. And he's not a rugby player. He's a monster truck driver. And that's because I was using this off the model of the rugby player. Okay. All right. So fix that up and there. And then these are the things. So we have attachments and we have exhibits. I'm going to show you what those mean later. But the attachments are forms. They go in front of it and passports and things like that. I think this actually requires that. So we did that. And then here's what we got. So we have an agent authorization letter from, I have it, Ford Motor Company to big agency as agent in support of it. All right. So what that law is, if you don't know, is that if you do an agent-based petition, big agency can be the agent for immigration purposes. All the direct employers then have to get an authorization for that. So here's an agent letter, establishes all of this contract between. Okay, so we're going to do. He's got a couple of sponsors: Ford Motor Company and Monster Jam. All right, and then this is a memo that talks about agency. So there's a lot of law in here. If you didn't know how to do it, that's how it works. And then these are the contracts between them. So he's got contract 4A is between Ford Motor Company with the terms when we fill that out, but he's going to be paid. So we also need one for Monster Jam. So let's do that. Now, this you would have to update in the software because we didn't put it into the platform. But if you're ready to go and you want to do it here. If not, go back and fix it there. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish this and save it. It's gonna be our deal. So let's have the same term. So take this language, copy. And we're going to turn this black because we're going to have this, right? All right. And then we're not going to have another sponsor. So we're going to have two sponsors, one from Monster Jam and one from Ford Motor Company. All right. And then we have evidence that he's participated in a major league team. We have evidence he's been in international competition, and he did not do this. So we're taking this out. We're going to have a peer group governing from Joe Davis. We already have that dropped in. And an expert letter from Bob Jones. Needs a little bit of work. Okay. Okay, so we put where we're going to put this evidence, and we're going to go and throw that in there. Okay, we don't need any of this. again, this is all written off of a rugby model, so we can customize these to your stuff. But we were doing a lot of rugby, so we built its own special one. All right, so that's where we go. I'm gonna put these on their own pages. Okay, so then we have a little bio here. The bio we often do last. And that's when you want to write your whole brief and then come up and sum up the big points, right? Or sum it up. So, Pro Athlete won the Monster Truck Jam January 1st, 2023. Pro Athlete was selected to the Australian National Monster Truck Team for the World Championships 2023. Pro Athlete holds the record for highest jump in a monster truck in 2016. He obtained major media on records achievements in the Sydney Morning Herald. Mr. Athlete was covered in a segment on ABC. Good Morning Australia. Okay, that's pretty good stuff, right? You might add this is an extraordinary ability monster truck pilot based on the following achievements. Okay. Spell stuff right.
Yeah.
And then, and that's what the beneficiary is. And then, as agent, we're not doing Monster Jam. We're doing big agency. Seeks employment for Mr. Athlete as a professional. Again, some of this was hard coded for a different type of visa, and we can customize these. You can customize anything, but we're using off this one. Okay. We already know these are going to be 3 years. So we could have been 5 years, right? So this helps you understand things when you're writing this if you don't know it, or remind you. Okay. This talks about the memo. So you think we put all sorts of codes in there that you can do and replace. So,
Oh, John, we have a question from Tabitha Bell saying, "How do I get P visa?" I think that's a very general question, of
yeah.
course. And that's what we're talking about here. There's different scenarios, right? And in today's scenario, this series isn't for an athlete, uh, but it really depends case per case, and that's why we recommend doing strategy sessions where
Yeah.
you can book time one on one with one of our attorneys, including John Veely, and ask all your questions. You can come in with a list of questions and ask everything to see what you're eligible for. And a lot of times you might not be eligible for it in the moment, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But at least an attorney can give you the plan of what you're missing to prepare so that one day you are ready to file and create your case.
That's right. Great idea. Glad to talk to you. If you could give us a call at 405 310 4333 or email us at information@vlilaw.com. Glad to set up a strategy session with you. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm going over a brief that we've written for a monster truck driver. Then, if you can see what I've done is I've talked about the petitioner and the beneficiary. These are like opening statements, and a lot of lawyers don't do that, right? They just go in with a table of contents and let immigration do it. I'm priming them to approve our visa by giving them information in a way that makes it easy for them to approve it. So I lay out who the petitioner is, the beneficiary. The petitioner here is an agent based. I'm showing them what the law is and how that meets, showing what the employment is, supporting it with law, and then putting in the right thing. So this is not relevant to our deal, so I'm taking that out, and we're going through this. And then I put in the criteria of the law, what's necessary for a P1 visa. You can see all that. I'm going to skip over that right now, and I'm just cleaning this one up. We're not going to use the professional athlete. We're using internationally recognized standard, or two standards for the P1. Internationally recognized athletes, and that's the criteria that we will prove to these 7 right here. Or professional athlete is if you're with a major league sport, which is a competition that is more than 6 teams that have combined revenues of 10 million. Monster truck probably meets that, but for the sake of this, I'm just using the internationally recognized athlete. Here's our legal discussion, right? So we lay out the regs, we show how it meets it. And I'm making just these things as I'm going through the brief. There's an agent letter, there's an agent contract. We've already talked about that. Here's the evidence. Here's the memo that shows you can have an agent-based petition and for O's and P's. Here's the Ford Motor Company deal, and we wanted to have the other one we talked about was Monster Jam for the same term. I know a lot of this isn't fun to watch, but hopefully you guys that are doing this a lot are seeing how helpful this could be. And there's so we're going to have 2 contracts in this particular case, one for Monster Jam and one from Ford Motor. So we got 4A and B as those contracts. And then there's a peer group letter. And that was it was, go back up. So you can scroll back up to, remember we're on page 8. I'm going up here to the peer group letter. Sometimes I will put these next to each other and pull things from it. So this one is here. Copy this. Go back down to page 8. And pop that in. Okay. Then I'm going down through the laws again. So again, there's 7 criteria for the P1 for internationally recognized. And it says what they use. And this one, Monster Jam, is the highest level of monster truck competition in the United States and the world. Not always the case, but in this case it is, so we're going to use it. Okay, so in this particular case that he was in Monster Jam in Australia. Monster Jam, okay. We have the team. Is this article we talked about?
Right.
Drop that in. Says he's a national team. So I'm saying, I'm making the statement. I made it in the strategy session. Here's what he did. So the athlete played for the following national teams. He was a member of the Australian national team in the Monster World Championships. And here's the evidence, right? So is that this article that he won it, right? So this evidence he was on the national team was an article that he won this competition with the national team, right? And so you could go into that, which described the world championship, and that Mr. Athlete competed for Australia. Now, what I like to do is use the actual text instead of making them go look with the language, pro athlete. I'm getting this up, of course, but you'd take it. Pro athlete finished first in his finished first in the overall rankings for which helped Australia in it all. All right, now you'd find your language, but just a hint, it's really good to use the actual actual language in that, so they don't have to go look for it, right? So you're hand delivering to it. We call it the silver platter. So I hope that's helpful to you. He was not in a college thing. You can see I didn't put any evidence. So there's a double hashtag. That's what our software does. So we want to make sure we take all of this.
It's almost like a warning sign for you.
Yeah, it's a warning sign. Like you don't have anything there. Now, if you have it, then you can add it. If not, cover that. Written statement from official governing body. We got Joe Davis, the president of Monster Jam, confirming the competition, the reputation of Monster Jam. And we don't have anything there. Let's pull that back out of the rugby one. And it shows some evidence of that. You could quote him here if you want. Interested maybe the sports media, Bob Jones, who was ranked number one in monster truck competition in 2000. Confirming the distinguished reputation of Monster Truck, Monster Jam. And show Mr. Athlete is internationally recognized. That's a little broad. You might be more specific in that. Oh, you do. So the expert's opinion on how he's ranked. So again, we're going to quote it right here. Pro athlete. This is his words, and if it's his words in the thing, make sure you put it in quotes. Right here. Okay. Now we don't have a second expert, so we're going to take that out of an international ranking. That I don't think plays really the right word, but competed is in this thing. So some sports play, some sports compete, we have all that. That's really good. That your team has a significant honor. So significant honor is a lot better than the extraordinary ability, which is an international or national award. So anything to do it, but these are international awards. He won the Australia Jam and was named Australia Monster Truck Pilot of the Year. Probably do a new paragraph. I think there was some evidence of that, but we didn't put it in. So go up and I'm going to be pretty lazy about it, but this article does it. So let's copy this and drop in that as the evidence. We don't need any additional evidence. We don't need to talk about. These are all stuff that we plugged into this for rugby and not relevant to this one. So we're kind of there to the conclusion. Evidence submitted meets the requirements of the P1, clearly demonstrates that Mr. G received international recognition sport of monster truck and will participate across the United States, exceeds the regulation of at least two of the following, as I'm up there, and then there's there again. We did this with big agency. And we got it. The attorney's name. We got Betsy Ross. For some reason, it is putting us in a different font, but we can fix that. The font we want to use is Serif 12. There we go. Okay, now we've got a thing. Now, since we made the changes on this will not be, it won't be saved there. So you want to save this on your own drive, which I'm going to do. Let's save it on my desktop. And I'm going to call this the P1 brief for pro athlete monster truck. Okay, I'm going to save that just like you do in your system. Okay, then I'm going to get out of this. See if it's still working on something. Let's get out of this. Okay, so we're back here on our build case. I've already built this thing. So now I want to go to assemble. Okay, now we were showing this last time how the assembly works. So we have our model, our G28, I-129, those are attachments. We already attached them. We have a brief. Okay, so I want to delete this brief because I have got a new brief. Where is it? Get rid of that. Delete it. And I want to upload a file. Go here, and I'm going to go to desktop, and I got my brief. Oops, doesn't like it if it's still in use. Gotcha. Sorry. Let me get out of that. Go back here. Now we got it, right?
Yeah.
And we're good.
A friendly reminder, John, that we're nearing our time. So we have a few more minutes to wrap up.
Yeah, great. Okay. So you can see that the brief is there. So in the brief, I'm going to drag it over here. Okay. Now I've got my new brief in there, and you can see I've got this puts in there. I'm not going to put a cover on this one, but I got some forms. I got my brief, and I've got some of the evidence, right? But that's good enough to show that we'll then go to assemble, and it's going to pull it all together. with our new updated brief. And you can see there's our forms, but I'm going to quickly go through there. I guess I didn't. Oh, I didn't put the new one in there. Sorry. Okay, so should have put the new one in there. I guess I didn't take. Did I not take the other one out? Sorry about that. I got to look at it. So, no, that's the old brief. This caught me. Okay, so this was the older version. I got to get rid of this one. So I need to do. Now I need to upload file. Let's do it again. So, system's smarter than me. See, it's a different name. Good.
That's what we want it to be.
Yeah, we want it to be smarter than us. Okay. So there's that. Okay. Oh, I didn't press upload. Okay, so yeah, I needed to press upload and see. Let's have that now. Bring this over to brief. Okay, so that's there now. That's still the wrong one. I need to get rid of this. Let's see, where are we at? Brief. No, that's the wrong one. Weird. Okay, so we need to get rid of this one. Yes, we want to delete. We need to get rid of this one. Yes, we want to delete. Okay. Now, upload file here. It is. It's a different name, isn't it? Or is that the same one?
I think it's the same one.
I think it is too. Let me look at this one more time. Oh no, that's right. That's what it's called. Unless I had name it incorrectly. Sorry, there's some making the sausage sometimes is not as okay, it's already there. Let's see if we pull this one over. Oh, we already got it. Pull this one over. Let's assemble again. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the other one had red in it, right? So we edited this. We came in, we changed the names of the contracts. We got 4A, which is Ford Motor, and Monster Jam is the two things. Remember, it was red when we had the wrong one, petitioner, beneficiary. So we now have our brief in here with our evidence. So now we got a good case, right? So we can when you're here, oops. We got all that there. We've now assembled it. We can take this and take this one, the latest. You can look at the dates, right? So today is 9/6. It's backwards. It's at the 6th of 9. So you can take this and then save this entire file into your, actually going to download it, save it, and how are we doing on time? Quickly do this. Full petition. Pro athlete. Full petition, save it. Like the name does it. Okay, so we have the full petition for Pro Athlete. Now, when I want to go to Submission Station, I can go here, upload documents, case status, case submitted, title for petition, and then send an email to any of the folks. I sent to Cookie Monster here, upload here as the file. Well, you can upload the whole file there just as we did and submit it, and it'll go right there. Okay, so that is how we do this. So there you go, Pierre.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. This wraps up this series, but it doesn't mean that it's over for visa types that we are
Right.
presenting and going over. I think this is really helpful for anyone watching to know that, again, this is just a demo of what is possible when you work with John and his firm. It goes a long way to show that this technology really helps hone in everything into one. It's so hard to put someone's whole life into a case, but this one makes it easier. And look how we easily forgot something, and it just reminded you of it.
Yeah.
Um, Whatever you see on your screen right now, whether you're listening to the podcast or video form, on the screen are two emails: information@vlilaw.com and onlinevisas.com. Those are the two places. Obviously, one is an email, one is a website where you can go on to book a strategy session. John, any closing remarks before we wrap up today's session?
Yeah, I mean, if you've never done this before, you probably don't know what we did, but we were effectively able to write a massive brief with evidence and an entire case in a little bit more than 30 minutes. These things typically take weeks to do. So technology is how you can expedite and have more quality. So we want to be faster, but we must be better. This will help any attorney be a better attorney. We'd love to have you subscribe to our platform, or if you're a company or a person that wants a visa, come to us. This is how we do it, and glad to help you. Glad to talk next time.
Thank you so much, John.
Thanks.
Have a great one. We'll talk very soon.